Hey, congratulations on being our newest Be the Talk guest. I can't wait to have you on the talk, and I wanted to come up with as short as I could onboarding video for you. I recorded a longer version of this that if you want like extra credit and maybe you'll hear me explain some of the reasons why things are set up the way that they are. I go into a lot more detail on that other one, and I'm just going to give you the straight scoop because I know your time is super valuable. I'm just so tickled to have you on the talk. And in order to make your interview the absolute best it can be, not just in terms of the audio quality for you, making you sound your best, but also really positioning and posturing you, not just as the expert that you already are. You've given a TEDx talk, you've given a branded talk, so you're already an expert. Everybody knows it. But I think it really takes an expert to position another expert as the expert that they are. And if you don't believe me, just watch the old Saturday Night Live Chris Farley show, or the skit that they have a little bit more recently called What's Up With That, where the MC basically interrupts Vice President Al Gore or some of the actors out there and just basically dances and talks around all over them, cuts them off. That's not good. And so that's what we're not doing. What we are doing is we're making sure that in a very brief amount of time, because your time is also very limited, I want to position you to look not just as an expert, but as a likable expert. I want people's walls to come down. I want them to open their heart to you. I want them to go to your website. I want them to watch your talk that you gave. I want them to really turn on to you and what you're doing so that you can truly change the world even more and empower your tribe through third-party resources like Be the Talk to really change the world. So that's really the rationale for everything that I do. Let's just get started right here. Number one issue is really Skype. Let's face it, Skype is a beast. The interface is very, very difficult. I like to tell people we broke up, Skype and I, about 8 years ago. Why did we get back together? Well, we're not really back together, but frankly, it makes the guest sound better than anything else out there. Now, I have Zoom Premium, and a lot of people are like, can we just do Zoom? Well, not anymore. You know why? Because we're doing Skype. And the reason we're doing Skype is I need to pick one lane, and the reason for that is because we have a 29-minute time slot for you. And as I hope that you know by now, I only have very, very limited days out of my month that I'm able to carve out for interviews. And so when I carve out a day for interviews, I'm learning how to make this more effective, not just so that I can cram, people in. I'm not about cramming people in. It's actually, I'm finding that my energy level and my ability to be present is there unless there are, big gaps inside of the day. And so there are multiple people that I am interviewing along with you, at least 10 other people. I'm going to be doing actually more and more and more in the days ahead. And it's a 29-minute time slot. That might sound like not a lot of time, but I know you don't have a whole lot of time. And a 15-minute podcast episode interview, there's plenty of extra time in that 29 minutes as long as we're connected on Skype. So you need to reach out to me well in advance on Skype. Make sure, okay, if I don't get back to you, if you just send me a request and I don't get back to you on Skype, that means there was a wrong profile, or maybe it was one of my, I think I have 2 other profiles that I can't figure out how to delete or get rid of, and you want to reach out to Nathan Eckel Be the Talk. The Be the Talk is one word right there, and you'll know it's me when you see the avatar of me on the TED stage. Very, very important that we connect in advance and that you hear back from me on Skype well in advance, because if you don't, we're not going to connect. Now, I have your cell number as a backup. If I didn't ask for that, I'm revising what I'm asking for. If I didn't ask for that, send me your cell phone number so that I have a backup so that we don't burn through the first 4, 5, 6, 8 minutes of your interview time, which with 29 minutes only, I mean, that's actually really very close to rescheduling. Anything more than a 5-minute phone tag delay is almost an automatic reschedule. for that. So you want to make sure that we connect on Skype. Give me the phone number, and then if neither of those work, I'm pretty much sending you an email and saying, hey, we're probably going to have to reschedule unless you can reach me like instantly right now. And I may not even be able to do that. So again, just we can work all this stuff out. And by the way, have your bio 50, I really mean 50 word bio, because if I have to spend time editing your bio before we go live, that's burning more of your interview time right there. Then ultimately, iTunes only lets me have a certain amount of characters, and I have to edit it anyway, so I do it all on the front end. Let's talk about the format. This is very important. The format of Be the Talk. Number one, you will want to, no matter how busy you are. And this is, it's still not a requirement. And I know, amazing people I get to interview. I'm going to interview you whether or not you listen to a podcast episode, but I want you to know what's coming up, and that can answer way more of your questions. Just listen to 2 or 3. Subscribe to the podcast. Find a favorite episode, and you're going to hear a pattern. It's very intentional, okay? We're going to start with a 2-minute summary of your talk. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a little bit of my homework, and I'm going to introduce you, and I'm going to read your bio, and then I'm going to say something to basically, get you started as easily as possible. And you're going to want to summarize your talk in 2 minutes. I know when someone hasn't listened to the talk before, when they say, well, Nathan, it was really an honor, and I applied to go on the stage, and there were so many other people, and they accepted me, and then they gave me everybody has that same journey. And so after about 20 episodes, my first 20 interviews, I realized this is getting pretty boring because everybody's telling me the same thing. Oh, what can we do? 2-minute summary of your talk, because I want to reinforce your expertise. But then I want to make you appear and authentically appear as the likable expert that you are. And to do that, we're going to have a conversation. So I'm going to ask you some questions, and we're just going to see where the conversation goes. And it's okay to, maybe have a couple of notes about, general things that you'd like to say, but please don't have pages of notes. Don't be that person that has it all scripted out, because that's not going to make you sound good. We're going to have a conversation. You already did the hard work. It's not a performance. Just see where it goes. No extra work required, other than it's a good idea to listen to a few of these episodes so that you know what's going on. So you have that summary. Then we're going to have the conversation. Then we're going to have what I call the blitz round. That's a little bit more rapid fire, either or type questions. This is where we pivot to talking about the preparation and your performance of your talk, how you prepared and how you performed it. And that's when we're talking not to one another only, but we're talking directly to Talk Universe, because these are the people that they subscribe, they're listening because they want the tips, tells, tools, and techniques that'll help them change the world with their talk someday. And so we have to help them. And so that's what the blitz round is for. Then we have the final word of advice. That's maybe 15 seconds, 20 seconds, because at that point we're kind of coming down for a landing. And what I'm going to do on the blitz round as well as the final word of advice is I'm going to have a commercial break. So I'm going to say, hey, in a moment, we've been talking to Jane Doe. In a moment, we'll be right back with her for the blitz round. And then I'll shut up for just 1 second, which will be a little silly. And then I'll say, hey, and we're back with Jane Doe for the blitz round. And then, we'll get into the blitz round. And then I'll do the same thing, the final word of advice. We've been blah, 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 blah. And I'll say, at that point, I give them the link to your talk. I give them a link to your website or your LinkedIn. And I say, and we'll be back in just a moment with, Jane Doe and the final word of advice. And I'll shut up. And I'll say, and we're back with the final word of advice for Talk Universe. And then that's your cue. So that's basically the format. It's pretty simple. Okay, it works because I've got a template, and it's a mix of kind of being, a little bit focused, and then very spontaneous, and then very focused again. And I have a template for this. I have an outline, and you don't even have to be an expert at the outline. You just have to be aware. And it does help if you listen to a few of these episodes. You'll you'll know what the heck I'm talking about. All right, couple other things. Timer says 30 seconds. So there is a social strategy. You want to reach out to me, my personal Facebook profile, because they don't throttle it back as much as the pages. You're going to want to personally reach out to me on Facebook, so that I can live tag you. And you'll hear about that in a moment, what I do with that, if you haven't seen it, what I do already. I mean, the social proof is really starting to ramp up. You also want to reach out to me on LinkedIn so that I can live tag you. Those are the two biggies. My handle, Instagram, all that, it really doesn't matter. You can reach out to me on there, but I'm focused on LinkedIn. I'm focused on Facebook. And it's not uncommon today, I've got over 1,000 views of one of my guests 2 days ago who just prepared his tribe and said, I'm about to go on Be the Talk in a few days, and I can't wait. And he primed them, and he got them excited. And then I think about 10 people shared his Facebook Live version of the interview that we did on Facebook Live, which he then was able to access immediately instead of waiting 1 to 2 months or even longer for the podcast episode to actually drop. He got an immediate visual asset that we can track, and we can see how many people are looking at it. It's really, really exciting. I want you to benefit for that. I mean, imagine for your talk being able to do a Facebook Live because you're able to do a Skype video with me. Imagine, 200 people, a few hours after that your interview is over, and you look and there's a couple hundred people that already saw it, or maybe 500, or maybe 1,000 people a day or two out, or maybe instantly. I mean, depending on your following. I mean, whatever floats your boat. In addition to that, I do 2 weekly videos that are aggregate videos. So this week, I think I had 15 people on the docket to interview. I was able to interview 13 of the 15 people. And so the week preview, what I did is I talk about your talk and what I watched and some of the notes that I took, and I just say your name and I talk about your talk and I say the title of your talk, and I'm still learning how to do this a little bit better, but what I personally learned and why I'm excited to be interviewing you in a few days. Okay? Now, and I will try to tag you, but if we're not friends yet on Facebook or if we're not LinkedIn yet, then I can't live tag you. I'll just put your name up, but you don't have the hyperlink and your people don't get to see it. Okay? I want your people to be able to see it, even on the preview video. I mean, because that is powerful stuff. Then the week in review, then I talk about what you said during your interview and how I learned and what Talk Universe what they'll get out of it and what they'll learn and why I'm so excited about this interview that's going to drop in just a few, weeks or however long it is. All right, so that is kind of my agenda outline right there. If you want to hear a little bit more, or maybe you're like, but why do I have to use Skype? I talk about that in the other more lengthy, I think it's about a 20 or 25 minute video. I was trying to do it really, really short. What I'm going to do is I'm also going to make this available. And if I didn't do this yet, I want you to send me a little comment and said, Nathan, you promised, you obviously forgot, and then live tag me. But I want to make this available as a downloadable MP3 so that you can take it on the jog, take it when you're walking the dog, take it when you're driving around. You don't need to see me, doing all this show stuff visually. You can listen to it. So along with that, I am just going to bow out and thank you so much. And I can't wait to interview you. Congratulations. And, can't wait to have you on Be the Talk. Take care.